Okay, this is assignment number 2. For this one, you're really going to want to have the sheet nearby, so either print it out from Canvas or just open up Canvas in like a Google Chrome tab. I'm going to show you how to do it on AutoCAD. Go ahead and hit Start Drawing. It's going to give you a blank screen like always. I've made sure that you can see the command bar here. And that's because we're going to be basically using the command bar for the entire assignment. We're really not going to be using the tool palette up here, so our mouse really isn't going to be moving around. The assignment is really to learn about coordinates and how there's basically 3 different kinds: an absolute coordinate, relative coordinate, and polar coordinates. Briefly, if you think about this as an x, y, and axis, the absolute coordinate will be 0.11 to 0.12 to 0.13, right? And it moves up or it moves this way, and you can go from one point to another point, kind of simply going from an absolute coordinate. And that's how you got to think about it if this point is 0, 0. Right down here. Relative coordinates, that's kind of different. You can specify your first point. As you can see, our first points are always going to be 1, 8, but then the next point is going to be relative to that point. So by putting an @ symbol in front of the first command, then it tells you in that direction from that point. So let us do the first one using absolute coordinates. How we're going to do this one is we're going to type L for line. We're going to hit L, enter, and it's going to ask for our first point. It's 1, 8. As you can see, we now have a point on there. You're going to want to make sure this point is actually turned off. That's because otherwise your point kind of goes in the direction of the cursor. So you don't want to do that. So let's try that again. L, enter, 1, 8. And there's our point. Next point would be 2, 8. So it basically went from one point to the other point. One thing I did forget to do, we'll go ahead and hit escape. Let's type in limits. That'll bring us our window. 0, 0 is fine, but let's make our outside say 20, 20, and then zoom all. Kind of similar to what we did in the last one. 20, 20 is a little big. Let's do this again. There's nothing wrong with doing this a few times. 0, 0. Let's do 15, 15. Makes it a little bit smaller. There we go. So that works. Of course, if this is too close, you can always zoom out as you wish. So let's do L again for line. We're going to turn on this mode right here. Snap cursor to 2D objects. And that's going to give me my point at the where I left off. So my next point, we already did 2, 8. Let's do 2, 4. Then 3, 4. Then 5, 6. Then 7, 6. As you can see, I'm just going off the points that we have. 9, 4. 10, 4. 10, 8. 11, 8. 11, 2. 9, 2. 8, 3. 4, 3. If I mess up on one of these points, if I miss one, it's pretty obvious. 3, 2. The last one is 1, 2. We still have to do this point. One thing, since this is turned on, I can just snap to it. As you can see here, it gives me the option to just hit C, and then that would be the close. I could also click on it right now, but let's just show you with a C. C equals close. Oh, that's wrong. Sorry. Oops. So this line is not supposed to be there. I'm going to hit E for erase. I'm going to hit that. It's because I started from here, so it closed to the shape I was doing. But let's do this. Escape brings, oh, sorry. Enter. Escape exits my eraser tool. I'm going to hit L for line. I'm going to just go ahead and use my ortho and close it. Or you know something I can do? Here. Just going off the absolute value, I'm going to hit L for line, 1, 8, which I know was my first point. And then I'm going to close, and my last point was 1, 2. So using absolute coordinates, this works because I went from the grid to the grid. I can just type in my points. And that's how you can make your final shape using absolute coordinates. I'm going to hit E for erase. I'm going to go ahead and select all my points and enter for delete. I'm then going to do L for line, and now we're doing relative coordinates. So like I said, it's going off of the point that you have. So the first point, 1, 8. Now we do an at symbol and 1, 0. As you can see, I went 1 in the x direction, 0 in the y direction, so we're working off of this point. To further work off of the new point that we have, it's 0, 4, so at 0, -4. Now we've got -4 on the y direction, 0 on the x direction. My voice is starting to lose, so I'm just going to go through the rest of these. Just look at the command bar to see what I'm doing. Notice it doesn't matter where my cursor is. I can kind of just leave it right here and just type in my coordinates, so I can actually work off of there. So I did a period instead of a comma, that's why that line didn't go. All you gotta do is type it in after. And you should be working on these as I go through, just so that you can figure out where I'm being confusing. That way you can just type it into the discussion that we have. Oh, -4, 0. When I make a mistake like what I just did, I did -1, 1 instead of -1, -1. I can just hit U for undo, and that still locks me in this point here. So I haven't actually lost my place, I just took one step back. Now I'm at the place where I've created my shape without breaking myself. So now I can actually hit C, and you'll watch this actually work. I'll hit C for close, and it closes my shape. So that's how I create them using relative coordinates. Again, it's going off of one point in the direction. You're using X and Y coordinates, but from the point where you're left off. So that's a really simple way to do it. The last way we're going to go over, I'm going to hit E for erase, escape, E for erase, enter, escape to exit all commands. The last one is polar coordinates. So polar coordinates, if you remember from your trig classes, let's go ahead and hit L for line. 1, 8 is my initial point. Trig goes over polar coordinates going off of the x-axis. So if this is my x-axis, then this is vector basically. This is basically vector. So I'm going a magnitude of 1 in the 0 direction is my first point. So 0 direction would be 0 degrees on the x-axis. So 90 degrees would be on my y-axis, negative, or 270 would be -90, so negative y-axis. This would be 180. I can also do -45 as the same as I can do 315. So 315, -45, they're the same thing. It's just going off of your positive x-axis. So you're basically just using vectors this time. We're going to do at 1, the important thing here is now we hit shift before we hit our comma, and that'll give us our arrow, and now it gives us degrees. So I'll go ahead and put 0 for my degrees, and it gives me 1 magnitude, which is 1 inch in the 0 degree vector. Now I'll do at 4 in the 270 degree. As you can see, that went down, so I could have also done -90, but 270 works. Then we'll do this again. I'm just going to work through these. Go ahead and pay attention to what I'm doing in the bar. Since it is a 45-degree angle, we know our angles are 1, 1, and root 2. So this would actually be the root of whatever our height is, which it was, if I remember from the other assignments. So our legs are actually 2 out and 2 up. So this is actually root 2. That's where we get the random 2.8284. So that's our length is root 2, which really would be root 4. Wait, no, that can't make sense. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm talking about. Just forget that I said that. But this is our angle, and that's the length that we have to go on that angle. Oops. Okay. After that is 1 in the 0 direction. Then it is... Oh, here's our points again. 2.8284 in the... So 315. So it says in the 315 direction. I'm going to show you with negative 45 because it does the exact same thing. It does the exact same thing. So 270, that'd be the same as negative 90. As you can see, it goes down negative 90 degree. Here's a weird point again, 1.4121. Oh, sorry, 4142. Now it's going to be in the 135 degrees. So I messed up somewhere. If you want to see what you've done, you can always right-click this and then hit Recent Commands. I know you probably can't see my here. If you hit, I don't know what I did. So let's just go back. Undo, 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 undo. I'm down here again. Let's go back one more. So now I'm at 6. Okay, let's do this. Shoot. So I went ahead and restarted. Or not restarted, but I selected my point. Now I'm going to do at 6, 270. That brought me down. Sorry, I just lost my place, I think. Go ahead and leave a comment where I messed up, if you caught it. Okay, next point would be at 4 in the 180 degree direction. See, that's the one that makes it weird. Because this distance doesn't look the same as that distance, so I must have messed up somewhere. Oh well, let's continue. I've done this before it worked fine, so I think I just messed up on one of the measurements, I guess. Yeah, so I'm off. I don't know where I messed up. But usually you would hit C for close, and, oh, shoot. God damn it. I'm going to go ahead and hit this point, and I'm going to hit delete, then I'll hit line, I'll click here, and I'll just go straight down. It's kind of cheating, but I don't know where I messed up. I must have done one of these measurements wrong. It looks like I did this wrong. This is supposed to be a little bit longer. If I wanted to go back through and type them all in, I could, but it's not worth my time, and frankly, I'm done messing up. So this is how you would do it using polar coordinates. Again, it's using vectors, so it goes in a direction at an angle, and you basically type in at the magnitude in the direction, and that's how you get this. So I did mess up here, which threw off my whole design, but yeah, if you don't mess up, it'll go through pretty well. So that's how you do number 2.